Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Good evening for me right now. Welcome to episode 2 of Tusk Traditions. I'm Sterling Scott. Big exhale after this Saturday against Mizzou. Crazy game. Before we get into it, since episode 1, this is only episode 2, so you haven't missed much. But yeah, going to be my raw thoughts after the game. Last week did a post-game analysis of Vanderbilt and then a preview, getting this Missouri game. This video will be a lot shorter, just going to be a post-game breakdown of Missouri. Getting into the game, kind of what I thought was going on. So Alabama had a cool chance to do something that's never been done in program history, which was win 3 straight games versus ranked opponents in league play. So that'd be the first 3-0 start, all the ranked opponents. Spoiler alert, if you didn't see the game, obviously, if you're tuning into this, you watched the game. We did that, we won. So that's a cool thing. Every time you can have a cool stat that's never been done in a really traditional story program, always a cool thing. Crazy week leading up to this. There's not many schedules out there like Alabama's this year. South Carolina comes to mind quickly. Florida has some of those, every week's a test. So crazy week. They're all going to be crazy weeks. Another crazy week going into this week. So this game, I was traveling during the beginning of it, and any big-time fan knows that that's the worst thing ever. And then let's go ahead and add to it that it's the North Georgia mountains where I have no phone service and really bad spotty radio car. Kind of all staticky. We picked up the Alabama home broadcast. I don't know how. I guess it kind of covers that North Georgia area, but it was nothing more than just static than a few words and static. So it didn't do us any good. But I got to watch a little bit of College Game Day when they're making the picks for the game, the first 4 with Alabama, and you're kind of just hoping that not everybody picks Alabama because you just know that the Missouri marketing team is getting ready to screenshot that and post it after that. Anything they can use as fuel for us, they were going to use. So thankfully, Kirk Herbstreit picked Mizzou last second, just flipped his pick while he's on an airplane. I digress. So yeah, big game. D really stepped up. Before we get into the every single drive, every little bit of the game, overall D stepped up. A lot of national attention on Ahmad Hardy, held him to 52 yards this game. So that was part of my keys. Kind of control the line of scrimmage on both sides. I think we controlled it more on the secondary, our defensive side than on our offensive side. But that was one of the keys. Attack the secondary was another key. I think Ty did that, and then. Not just controlling the line of scrimmage, but stopping the run was another key, and go ahead and put another check in that box. So first drive of the game, it was obvious that Mizzou had a bye week because that drive was schemed to perfection. If you don't know this about football, if you didn't play football, you're not around football really, usually the first drive for both teams is completely scheduled. You have, you already know in row what the play is going to be and how it's going to work, and usually you have a good inclination of the defense that they're going to roll out there. So it was pretty clear they did a good job scheming that, and they went right down the field like a knife through hot butter, 7-0 Missouri. And then we get the ball back in the first few plays. Didn't look like we did a good job of scheming. We had some negative plays. Felt like we got bailed out early with a taunting penalty from one of their captains. Not something you would think you'd see out of a captain, but 15 yards, and it kind of got us started in the right direction. But yeah, that was a big time bailout, which we kept off that drive with Ty to Kevin Riley for the score. Kind of got a scary moment on our next Alabama possession with Derek Meadows. Yet again, I was in the car, so all I kind of heard was that it was really serious. Never saw it until after the game, that scene, what happened, but prayers up to him. Kalen DeBoer mentioned in the postgame. Jan Miller also got hurt in a similar fashion. Kalen DeBoer mentioned postgame that both have suffered a concussion. No timetable at this moment of return, so don't know what that looks like for Tennessee or the future. But Derek Meadows, our receiver, and Jan Miller, the running back, both suffered the same energy. So yeah, we got a score there. So we go up 7-0, get the ball back. 7-7 after Missouri's perfect scheme drive. So we get the ball back after that, and then not much has changed with scoring right there, tie to jam, 14-7. So next drive, get a really rare sack. We only had 2. LT had 1.5 this game, and Keon had a half sack. So get a rare sack. I wanted to control. That was one of the keys. Control line of scrimmage, which means getting some pressure on the quarterback and getting to him. Didn't do the best job in the world. I felt like we put him on the run, though, a lot of it. I think he was uncomfortable for some parts of the game, like a lot of having to scramble, make plays, or just run with it, but just couldn't quite get home and finish that. So, yeah, we get another 9-play drive that gets stalled out by a sack, and then Connor comes on and makes a 46-yard field goal. And we've been a little shaky over 40, so anytime we get a success rate past that, I call that a win. What could have been, in the next drive, Missouri gets the ball back, and what really could have been, a circle this play in the game kind of moment was LT forced the fumble. We don't get it, but if we get that fumble, brought the 27, 5 minutes left, we have a different story. But we don't get the ball. We get a punt. So now you get the ball back. Now, you get the ball on the fumble. You get the ball back on the punt. You have the same chance. The same chance with the time left to go down there and make a play and really separate yourself, but doesn't happen. We get sacked. It's not great. You want to be able to put points. A lot of people talk about the last 2 minutes of a half and the first 2 minutes of the next half are a time where you can really control the game. So don't get points there at all. We get sacked. We end up punting. Not a great punt. Kind of like the field goal operation's been shaky. Not the best punt in the world. Missouri takes over at their 26. Hats off to Missouri here. They go on a 10-play drive, 57 yards, leads to a field goal before half. Set up by Jamal Roberts, which is their backup running back, had a 39-yard run. Ahmad Hardy had 52 yards in the whole game. So, this is a big, gigantic chunk play for their rushing attack. So, I give credit where credit's due to Missouri here. What felt like could easily be 20-7. Best case for Bama, 24-7. All of a sudden, after that field goal before the half, it's now 17-10, Alabama. And I'm still in the car at this point with my buddy, and I just said what I said to you about how this feels like it could easily be 20-7, 24-7. Here we are at 17-10. He looks at me and he's like, we're on the road. This is a good team. I'm happy to be able to touchdown. So then, I kind of rewired my focus, and I agree with that. Missouri is a good team. Being up 7 is good. The being up 7 didn't last for long because, Bama gets the ball in the second half and instantly sack and fumble, the ball's on the ground. 3 plays, and just like that, we're tied 17-17. So going back to what I just said, what feels like could be 24-7, you look up and in 3 minutes of game clock time, we're tied at 17. Brand new ball game. Whenever you get tied late in the game, it feels like it's 0-0. Bama and Missouri do a little exchange of the ball, back and forth with punts. And then kind of what we're seeing Bama do in the third quarter is hold the ball. We saw it last week versus Vanderbilt. We saw a little bit versus Georgia. Bama goes on a 17-play, 9-minute drive that featured a Caden Proctor run. I love to see it. I really thought, I saw him in goal line. If you watched last week, my video, I kind of hinted at maybe he's going to have a moment where he can have a jump pass or something like that on the goal line. I thought this was going to be a perfect time for it. Anyway, 3rd and 1, we get a 2 yards of Caden Proctor. So close to scoring. I wish he would have punched that in. Would have been big for everybody. I'm sure he'll get another chance later. But first down, does his job. So get to the 1 yard line. We get a really kind of bizarre play that on the field gets called a touchdown with Ty. On the play, he's leaning backwards, trips over his own feet. His knees touch, but it wasn't caught. They play on. He gets the handoff. It was honestly a really athletic bad play. Not to give the ball up. He easily could have done something catastrophic, and the ball could have been on the ground, and Missouri could have taken over. So I feel that was a touchdown, but after a quick review, it was pretty obvious that his knees were down before we could hand the ball off. So that's the difference, though, because we ended up settling for 3. That's a long drive, settle for 3. Kind of took me back to last week versus Vanderbilt. We had 2, long 10-plus play drives where we don't get 6, we get 3. But, points are points. You take what you can get. We're going into the fourth quarter. Next drive, D and Bray Hubbard make a really athletic grab for an interception. When I was watching it live, I was thinking, there's no way, Bray caught that ball. Because it's just, you don't see a play like that from safety. It was a really good play. So hats off to them. He's been playing a lot better. I can't imagine, after the first week, we would be here now. What a response by him. I know in that interview he made after the FSU game where there was a clip flying around of where he kind of like sandbagged a play and kind of jogged and didn't give a lot of effort. It was obvious it got to him through different social media's out there really quickly. Obviously, it got to him, and he spoke on an interview, and it's lit a fire on him. He's playing a lot better, a lot of effort. It's very apparent that what we're seeing from Bray in the secondary in general. I think he's kind of a leader by example out there. So anything we can get him to do, and it'll rub off on others. So that's big. We're just seeing the progress and climb the mountain with him. So after the INT, we get a chance to put the separation between us and them, and make the scoreboard look a little better. And again, we have just these field goal troubles. But this was a little bit more understandable. We missed a 49-yarder from Connor Talty. Again, me and my buddy were talking. In college, if you can give me 40 and in, I'll take it in college, especially with how it's been. But 49-yarder, I get it. That's a tough miss. So now I'm thinking it's 4th and 10. Why not go for it? I mean, it's not. I know it sounds like probably not a high probability 4th and 10 to get, but we see later in the game we had a longer 4th and I think it was 4th and 8, 4th and 6, and we converted. You gotta trust Ty right now. Ty's playing like the Heisman front runner, so I want the ball in Ty's hands more than I want the ball in Connor Talty's foot. That's kind of how I put that. Ball doesn't go in. Play on, sudden change. Game's full of ups and downs. Sizzles are down. Missouri gets the ball back. Really interesting point in the game. A part of the game, this is where I probably would highlight or circle right here. 4th and 4 at the Mizzou 40. Fake punt. You can argue why they run it to the boundary, maybe not run it to the field. This was, I didn't realize when I was watching in the game, but it was Jamal Roberts who was their backup running back. I didn't know who it was. I didn't get to ID who had the ball, but, very capable runner. Is running towards the sideline, reaches out. On the field, they called him short, and there wasn't a great angle to overturn the call on the field. My unbiased opinion, that's a first down. Just the way it looked, the way it felt, and the angles I could see. But just knowing how the rules of football are, you really can't go off what I think. You got to have video evidence there, and there wasn't. So in terms of the football call, it was right. But I just think that that was a personal first down. If it happens to Alabama, I'm so upset. We saw something similar with Auburn. Wherever the call they made on the field was just going to be huge. So now another opportunity to really put the pressure on Mizzou with a score. This is where I was talking about. We get to 4th and 8 with Ty, and maybe the best throw of the year. I mean, I would like to see. It's an argument. I'd argue with anybody about it. If someone can show me something better under this circumstances on 4th down and a tight ball game, 2 ranked opponents, I'd love to hear it. 29-yard, Ty to Brooks, keeps the drive going. It's a great throw on the sideline. Ty's been really clutch on 4th down. I saw someone say he's been really clutch on 3rd and 4th down, and then someone said back to that on Twitter, if he's so good on 3rd down, there wouldn't be any 4th downs. So I get what you're saying, but he's been great on these really clutch moments. You could argue best throw of the year, maybe clutch moment we've had so far for us personally on the Alabama season. So you really got to trust Ty with the ball. Kind of goes back to what I said. I trust Ty with the ball more than I trust Connor with his leg. So get ourselves now to a 4th and goal. This is a perfect offensive call for what the defense gives you. Missouri it's a bunch look, so that means everyone's kind of tight. Missouri brings a blitz off the corner, and we're able to just sneak out. Damian Hill, wide open touchdown. Bama goes up 27-17, and there's not much time left, and I'm thinking, if you watched last week, my prediction of this game was 27-17. I'm thinking, Alabama's going to give me some huge credibility here. We're calling this game perfectly with the score, but it ain't as you go to hear. It didn't last very long. A little over 3 minutes left. Missouri gets the ball back, and whenever you see it, NFL, college, maybe even lower than that, some levels, whenever you're down 2 scores and you got to have it, it almost just feels like you always find a way to get it. And Missouri did, big plays. They had a 16 yards, 14 yards, 14 yards, and 27 yards. So that's too easy. I know Alabama's in a prevent. You don't want to get beat deep, but they took what we gave them, and we gave them chunk plays at a time. So just like that, with a minute 40, you're getting ready for an onside kick. Our sure-handed punt returner, wide receiver, Cole Adams, quiets the drama just for the moment, recovering that onside kick. So we get the ball back. Missouri D does their job. We get to a 3rd and 3, and they stuff us for a minus 2-yard loss. That point, if we don't lose anything there's no yards lost. I mean, do we go for that? right there in the game. Like I said, I trust Ty making a play right there more than I trust Damani Jackson one-on-one making a play on the outside. So, with the loss though, you can't make it. And I've been giving our special teams a hard time, but Blake Dodd, 4th and 5, had a good punt. Punted to the Missouri 10. They return it for 18. So here's the game right here. Missouri gets the ball back with a little over a minute, and this is all you can ask for if you're Mizzou. You're playing Alabama at home with the ball down 3. Sometimes in life all you can ask for is a chance. So they get their chance. We get them to a 4th and 6, one-on-one coverage with Damani Jackson. Tip your cap to a good play made by the offense. He made a good adjustment coming back to that ball. It's just one-on-one out there, kind of on an island. So, good play. Roll on football. Like I said, highs and lows. We get 2 incompletions by them later, and then Dion Lee Jr. plays the role of the hero and ends it with a pick right there. On that play, very interesting. Bottom receiver looked like he had a pretty sizable gap between him and the nearest crimson and white jersey, but glad they didn't see it. That didn't work. And even that throw he made, he probably had him. It sailed over him, and good guys were there to make the pick and seal the game. We got to run Diego Pavio's favorite play, which is also my favorite play when we run it, which is the victory formation. And we kneed down, and we won 27-24. So a big win. Felt like we let them stay in this game. A lot of we put the balls on the ground, and they got it, and they put the ball on the ground. We didn't seem to quite get all of them. Pick there was huge. Turnovers we did have were huge, and just feel like we kind of let them stay around in this game longer than we should have. My takeaways real quick, and then we'll wrap this up, is I don't want to be known as the comeback kids. I don't want to be getting down 7-0 every single game and having to fight back. Health is becoming a concern, and you expect a little bit of that when you play this style of a gauntlet that we're playing right now between Georgia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, at South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma coming up, and you're going to expect this is just the SEC, but it's becoming a concern with key players. Think about Jam, think about Meadows in this game. A few more that were going to be out for longer have already been out, so that's just becoming a concern. And is my last takeaway from this game is, can we continue to do this? It's very easy to feel like you're top of the world right now, but last year we were also 5-1 at one point, and we all know how the wheels fell off the bus there. So, got to stay focused on the week that we're at right now. Right now it's 3rd Saturday, October. Tennessee's come to town. It's going to be a big one. But can we just continue this? Can we continue to get better? Can we continue to improve? And I think everything we want to accomplish is ahead of us. So that's going to wrap us up today for episode 2 of Tusk Tradition. I'll maybe be out later this week with a video, giving a little preview of Tennessee. But until then, roll Tide.